More Heart Than Talent Radio.
More Heart Than Talent Radio is brought to you today by the Golden Mastermind Seminars blog. If you own a business, you're in sales, or you want to overcome your emotional state, the Golden Mastermind Seminars blog is designed to shortcut the learning curve so you can reach your goals quickly. You'll find topics about prospecting, closing, emotional resilience, prosperity, and so much more. Go to goldenmastermind.com/blog to check the Golden Mastermind Seminars blog now. Jeffery Combs, president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Here we are. It is August 7th, 2018. Welcome to the More Heart Than Talent Live Tuesday afternoon video. It is my absolute privilege and pleasure to cover a few quick announcements. Then I'll move into the inspirational portion of today's video. Now notice I am now using the word video, not call. For 21 years, I would say, I'll move to the inspirational portion of tonight, which is now today's video. So for those of you who are brand new to this video conference call, or to this video call, I've been hosting this event for the last 21 years. So for the last 21 years, I've been delivering content every Tuesday at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now we've moved that video to 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jeffery Combs. I'm the president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated, an inspirational coaching seminar company that I have owned for the last 21 plus years. I'm going to be having some great guests on this video coming up in the very near future. Brittany Cara, Diane Hughes Hunt. I'm going to have some exceptional transformational speakers that you have not had the privilege of witnessing, and I'll be bringing those to the table. Those of you who have been my client for years, I've had John Assaraf, I've had Dr. Joe Dispenza, Jim Rohn, Mark Victor Hansen, Susan Sly, and a whole host of exceptional transformational speakers, quantum physics specialists, people who focus on the brain. So this coming year, I'll be bringing great talent to you. Next Saturday, that is August 18th, I will be at the Los Angeles Hilton at LAX Airport. I have not done an event there for a few years. I'll be there with Brittany Cara. That event is from 9 until 4 o'clock. That is on the 18th. The following week, I will be in Atlanta. The host of that event is Carlotta Davis. I want to thank Carlotta for really stepping up to the plate. There'll be a great event in Atlanta, Georgia. That is Saturday, August 25th. And then in September 15th, I'll be in one of my favorite cities all time, St. Louis, Missouri. September 22nd, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Diane Hunt is hosting that event. September 29th, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Abby O'Neill, who is crushing free enterprise, will be the host of that event. Then October 13th, I'll be in Spartanburg, South Carolina. October 20th, I will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. October 27th, I believe it's 27th or 6th, that Saturday, I will be in Kansas City, Missouri, one of my hometowns. If you've not taken advantage of one of my free 20-minute coaching sessions, send me a message in Facebook Messenger, and I will be back with you immediately. Let me know what you'd like me to assist you with, and I will deliver some great content for you on command. And if you're seeking any one-on-one coaching, you can also let me know in a message. With that, I will move into the inspirational portion of tonight's call. Tricia Phillip from Kennewick, Washington. Brian Sandler, welcome to the call. Monica, how are you? Monica from London, cool. Danielle Bolam. Danielle and I go way back. So it's great to see many of you watching today's video. The content I'm going to cover today is from my forthcoming book called The Esteem Factor. Now that book is in process of being written right now, and I do have plans for that to be delivered by the end of the year. The difference between esteem and confidence is a big separation. So if we drew a couple pictures on a whiteboard, so I had a whiteboard here, and I drew self-confidence and esteem, you would see that esteem has no definition or shape. So it'd be like this: esteem has no definition or shape, yet self-confidence has definition and shape, because confidence relies on recognition and rewards. So this is why you can be very competent and confident as an athlete. You can be confident and confident as an employee, But when you move into free enterprise, the land where you can create what the free market bears, oftentimes your esteem gets tested and or challenged, because underneath all of the unresolved issues that you still hold on to are the events that shape the feelings. And those events that stay repressed form your emotional state. And emotions give off a corresponding response. So when you relapse back into anger, hate, resentment, guilt, shame, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, or apathy, then you're the mind-body connection to the events that have shaped those feelings. Now, the letting go process is a skill, and letting go is a skill that is very underdeveloped. Not very many people really understand the context of letting go, and not many people understand the application of it. Now, as you begin to integrate letting go, and letting go becomes a habit, then you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events. Now, what does mind-body mean? It means that you may be born with a condition, asthma. Now, asthma is a condition in a child, meaning the child doesn't want to be here. Or you may be born with eczema. You mean you get under someone's skin. Or you may have gut issues, or you may have irritable bowel syndrome, or any multitude of situations that you are born with or happens early in your childhood. Well, those are called mind-body connections. And then oftentimes your body runs your mind instead of your body and mind being one with. When you are one with, you're not separate from, you are whole. And as you are whole, then you are good enough. And as you are enough, then you are in a permission state, and the only permission required for you to be good enough is you. So if you are in esteem and you have a regard for self, it means that if you are in a high esteem, this does not mean you're arrogant, does not mean you're abrasive, does not mean you have an ego. It means that you love self enough that you won't be rejected. So if someone has an affair, they don't have an affair on you, they had an affair, and you're able to separate your feelings in a place called detachment. Now, detachment doesn't mean you don't care. Detachment means you're able to detach from the events that would create an old emotion. So instead of relapsing back into rejection or creating rejection about a phone call you're about to have, you're able to separate your feelings. So you can move into the phone call without any preconceived notion about the outcome that hasn't happened. So that means you'll focus on the result, you'll focus on the pleasure, you'll focus on the outcome that is desirable rather than focusing on the outcome that is undesirable. And unfortunately, that's what so many people do, is they create the very situation they seek to avoid by going into anxiety. I'm worried all the time. I'm always worried. Well, if you're always worried, then that means that is your identity. Now, today's video, I want to make sure I distinguish this. So I am breaking a behavior. For 21 years, I'd say on tonight's call, this is today's video. On today's video, the topic is the psychology of low self-esteem, becoming the new me, the new I am. So I am is a present moment state of consciousness. Consciousness is an energy that's separate from anxiety, fear, and doubt. And in consciousness, you're also in awareness, meaning that you know. Consciousness is trust. And as as I trust self, then I'm able to respond. If I don't trust self, I'll react and I'll go, well. So when someone asks you a yes-no question, the answer would be yes or no. When I ask yes or no questions, a large percent of the population tells a story because they react. They're turning a past event into the present, telling a story, validating, justifying, explaining, rather than answering the question with a yes-no answer. They feel compelled to have to tell a story because they don't want to make a mistake, get in trouble. They checked out mid-sentence, didn't hear what was meant, only heard what they thought was said, relapsed back into a state of anxiety, and now they're telling a story. That's what most people do. They spend a lot of their time overwhelmed. And if you are overwhelmed, there's a high probability that you have low self-esteem. Now, the process, the transformation, the recovery, the being here, being now, that process is an I am state, means I am in recovery. It's an affirmation. It's also followed by a breath. The breath that you take that releases the anxiety takes you out of a short breath syndrome. In a short breath syndrome, you're living like this in fight or flight. Typically, you'll have one shoulder raised above the other one to overcompensate for your low self-esteem. That's what self-confidence is, and self-confidence oftentimes relies on force and a counterforce. And this is why many people, they'll force themselves to success. They'll go out and they'll muscle up. They'll do it at the last minute. They pull it off in the last minute. They make the airplane. They cross the bridge. They close the sale on Sunday at midnight to squeeze into winning the contest. And that's what so many people do. They wait till the very last minute because their habits are last minute type of habits. And if that is you, it means that you're typically in an overwhelmed state. Before we jump into today's content, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. So as I'm delivering this content, where are you watching from today? My team wants to understand this so we can really see where our database and where our fan base is coming from. Now, as I said, I'm going to be in Los Angeles next Saturday. I'll be covering this content in depth. Any event that I do a one-on-one and you're in the first couple rows, there's a high probability that you will cry, not because I will not make you cry. You will cry because you will release. Now, that kind of release tear is angst that you let go of, the angst that you repress, the emotions that you repress. As you begin to separate your feelings from events, now you're in a release state. As you're releasing, you're also in a recovery state. And as you're recovering, you're elevating your consciousness. That elevated consciousness is what changes who and what. Who and what I attract. I attract to my reality quality, like-minded entrepreneurs that I can collaborate with. I attract to my reality quality, like-minded teammates who I can create results with. I attract to my reality quality, like-minded soulmate that I can spend the rest of my life with. So that is the spoken word. Words are law, and the more that you understand how your words dictate your results, then you'll be more attentive to the word choices that you use in your language structure. Most language structure is non-committal. There's a lot of kindas, sortas, guesses, and I don't knows. And if this is you, then the key skill is attention, awareness, and then change. The evolution of change begins with the practice of it, the repetition, and the experience. Low self-esteem is a learned behavior. It's a learned trait. It's not the DNA. It's not the gene pool. Your parents may have low self-esteem, but you won't have low self-esteem because they have low self-esteem, because it doesn't run in the bloodlines. It runs in the events. If you're put in a position that you're not good enough as a child, and you're not able to separate your feelings from those events, and you'll be not good enough as a teenager, and you'll be not good enough in your 20s, and here you are in your 40s and 50s, you're overwhelmed, over-obligating, and you're codependent, doing more for others than you'd ever do for self. Now, if that is you, one of the situations that you want to do is have a better understanding of codependence, over-obligation, enabling and receiving your identity through over-obligating, doing more for others than you'd ever do for self. Now, this is not a black and white issue, because that doesn't mean you can't still empower people or you can't donate time to charities and causes. But you also want to understand that a large percent of the population that does that, they over-obligate self to deflect from self because they have no esteem. And if this is you deflecting from self so you don't have to be responsible for self and you're more responsible for others, and then the others that you're responsible for don't give you the recognition rewards that you're seeking, then what you've done is set yourself up to be rejected and abandoned. And if you don't get that feedback from them, then it's more than likely you'll do it to self, because you'll be critical of self and continue to criticize yourself. So when you have low self-esteem, it is also inaccurate information. So it's inaccurate information, meaning that it's a conditioned behavior. You are conditioned in your childhood, or you're conditioned as a teenager not to feel good enough. You don't get picked for the softball team. You don't make it on the soccer team. You don't make it as a cheerleader. You get cut on the basketball team. You sit on the bench. You get ridiculed. You make mistakes, or you get picked last on the playground. Or you get sent back a grade, and then you get called names for being slow, dumb. You get told that you have learning disorders. You have learning behaviors. You have situations that allow you to feel separate from the rest of the class. So this absolutely sets you up. This becomes your personal reality, and later your personality, that you're not good at school, you're dumb, you're slow, you have ADD, you have all these situations that now become preconceived notions. Now, as you begin to separate your feelings from the events that shape them, then I am me and I am free, you are you and you are free, and you're not the mind-body connection to those events. Because the brain takes a picture of an event and then creates relevance out of it. And how relevant you give and how much power you give to a situation determines whether you hold on or whether you let go. If you continue to hold on to stuff, well, then you end up hoarding it. You're overwhelmed, and you can't throw situations away, because one day you might require it. And that's what, unfortunately, so many people do, is they hold on to so much stuff, and they do the same situation. They hold on to unresolved issues, and then they stuff their feelings. And then they end up overwhelmed, overweight, not understanding why they do what they do. And then even with great cleansing products, detox products, and even with colonics, exercise, diet, and all other situations, there's a certain percent of the society whose body won't let go because they won't let go. And you can go and, you can starve yourself and not lose the weight, because it's not the weight you're seeking to lose, it's the feelings attached to the events that allow you to separate yourself from feeling less than. And as you begin to feel, it's not a more than, it's you begin to feel enough. As you begin to feel enough, that's a permission-based situation. As you begin to feel that you're lovable, capable, and good enough, your energy changes. You start to elevate your energy from an energy of 25 decibels a second, which would be apathy. You start to graduate up into fear, doubt, and eventually conscious awareness. Now, as you are living in awareness, it unequivocally changes who and what you attract. Oh, Tara Cooper. Good to see you, Tara. Tara was a client of mine many years ago, so it's good to see many of you tuning in here. Carlotta Davis, good to see you. So Carlotta's saying great content. Now, Carlotta's a woman I've had some great success with. Had the privilege of coaching Carlotta a few years ago when she was a nurse practitioner. So I've absolutely watched her transform the way she operates in free enterprise, and she's creating a great livelihood. One of my top tier students that I have ever coached. Now, you could absolutely do the same thing she has done. She's become a leader and a leader grower. Every one of you in today's video can actually step into a place called respond. And as you begin to respond, you become more responsible. And in responsibility, as you begin to address responsibilities and you don't overwhelm yourself. The more money you create, the bigger the enterprise you grow, the more responsibility that you have. You don't take on responsibility. Responsibility is responsibility. It's the ability to respond. And so that means the moving parts. And for you to be able to master the moving parts, you master your emotions so that you're organized, you're disciplined, you're detailed, you're methodical, and you're systematic. And that will greatly assist you in being unorganized and overwhelmed. Being organized is not a how do I get, it's an I am state. As I am practicing the art of organization. So as you begin to practice being and staying organized, then you're just going to create a different space. That's allow. I'll spell that for you. That is spelled A-L-L-O-W. Chris, you have my whiteboard. It's right down in there. So as you begin to allow, see, you begin to allow. It's in one of those drawers right there, Chris. It's up above, right there, one of those two. As you begin to allow, you're allowing space. You're allowing energy to flow into you. And as you allow this energy to flow into you, now you're not the mind-body connection to the event. One of my favorite props, the whiteboard. So now I can lay this out for you. A-L-L-O-W. That is allow. As you begin to allow, it's space that you allow. Now, allow space comes from let go space. So as you let go, so let go is force space because you are holding on. So as you are holding on to past. So here's what this is. So letting go allows you to let go of hold on space, and then now you're in a space called allow. Now, as you allow space and energy, now the vortex is open. In allow space, this is where people begin to show up. This explains the phenomenon, they show up. Well, they show up not because it's magical and mystical. They show up because you created space for people to show up who are already there. The people have always been there. The parking space is always there. Your brilliance has always been there. It has not been accessed. It has not been implemented. It has not been integrated. You've been reading the books. You've been going to the events. You've been going to the rallies and the conventions. And you feel the feelings. You see the other people. You know that you're as good as them, but you stay behind the glass. The invisible glass, which is not a ceiling. It's not a glass wall. It's glass that you put in front of yourself. You're not tongue-tied. You're not in the way. There's nothing in the way of you other than the thoughts and feelings that you continue to perpetuate that keep you in a place called now. And that place in now is really mirrored in the past. Now, the now space that you seek to create is an energetic space called consciousness. That consciousness now brings you into the web, the universal web of consciousness, which is the morphinogenic field. It's also the Akashic records. It's called quantum physics. It's the quantum field. That's where attractor factor happens. That's where you attract your reality, people and situations that will foster a new set of feelings. And that new set of feelings is called love. When love walks in the room, love is not rejected. When love walks in the room, love sweats. because love brings a heat with it. Not the kind of sweat that you come from working out, the kind of sweat that you release. So when love walks in the room, love is a conic. And when love walks in the room, love is an energy. When love walks in the room, the table is open for you. When love walks in the room, the parking space is available. When you bring that love of self, love of others, love of life, Christ, God, deity, source, when you bring that to the table, then you sweat at the temples like this. And that sweat at the temples is called release, and that release is called passion. It's compassion, it's empathy, it's feelings that people feel, and when they feel you, baby, they join you. And they join you not because you're jointed, they join you because they feel you, and they feel your feelings. It's not that they think, oh my God, you're going to lead me. It's that they feel your love, and they feel that, and they go, oh my God. That's what transmuting sexual energy means. It has nothing to do with sexuality. It doesn't have anything to do with the way you look. It's how you feel. But if you have repressed your feelings, you can't get in touch with your sexual feelings, and you can't get in touch with your energy. You've cut yourself off. That relegates you to being in your head. That's your analytical egoic mind. That's your ability to analyze. That's being in your head. That's checked out. That's all of these situations that keep you doing the same thing over and over, expecting unconsciously to be disappointed. That is right. That is what I said. What most people do is they do the same thing over and over to create the exact outcome that is familiar, so they continue to say, I don't understand. I don't know how. Why does this happen to me? What do I do? What do I change? Who do I be? How do I do this? How do I? Exhausting themselves before the day is even over. The spiritual energy that you require to build a business in free enterprise is go energy. It means you're going all day long. You don't get tired. Tired is not a state of consciousness. It does not happen when you're in etheric emotional energy. You don't get tired. There is no such thing as tired because you have rested the night before. When you are rest, you are not tossing and turning. You're in a quantum rest state where you can rest less and produce and relax more. But if you continue to believe that you have to have all this sleep, well, then that's what you believe. And you're going to attract to your reality people who believe what you believe. And as you begin to separate feelings from events, then you're not going to be the mind-body connection to the events. So the effects of low self-esteem is they create unconscious beliefs. The first belief that low self-esteem creates is I am not lovable. The second one is I'm not likable. I am flawed. So this is what many people do. They end up believing this and then attract to the reality people to fulfill those beliefs. So if you're not lovable, then you'll attract someone who feels that way about themselves, and then they will use you to be their force or their counterforce so you can be in an unrelatable relationship. Now, if that is in the situation you're in today, it's your responsibility, the ability to respond, to have a better understanding of why you do what you do, and start to be able to separate your feelings free of guilt and free of shame. As you begin to separate these feelings, then you can be responsible for self without feeling guilty about other people's feelings. Also, in that state of awareness, no one can make you feel. No one can make you feel angry. You can't be made to feel angry. You're angry. And when you're angry because typically you're holding on to an unresolved violation that has not been resolved, and you continue to say, I don't know why I do this. And you'll continue to relapse over and over to create the same neurochemical high and neurochemical feeling that keeps you emotionally addicted to a set of events based on feelings that are unresolved. This is simple quantum physics when you understand it. For those of you who would like to find out more, you can do a free 20-minute coaching session with me. I will break down for you in minutes the cause that creates the effect of why you do what you do, so you can separate your feelings from events. That's what elevates consciousness. Consciousness cannot be accessed in an overwhelmed state. I mean, in science, there isn't space for it. There's no allowing for it. So it means in vortex energy, the space is blocked. So what you hold on to is really you have blocking energy. So what you're holding on to is the familiar, and you hold on to the familiar because it's known. But when you let go of what's known, that's the past, because you know the past, because it's there. But you may regret the past, you may hold on to the past, you may have forgotten the past, but it's all part of your history. It's in the Akashic records. And when you start to separate your feelings from those events, now you're in an allow space. That allow space is what allows people to find you, join you, feel you, be your soulmate, be your significant other, be your lover, be your teammate, be your gardener, be your limo driver, be your waiter, your waitress. They show up and they're right there in front of you, and it's going to be your responsibility to say, hey, you are who I'm looking for. You've showed up. Welcome aboard. And that means that you let go of your anxiety and worry about, oh my God, what are they going to say? What are they going to think of me? They're going to think anything because they were looking for you, but you have to be able to look for them. But when you check out, now you can go home and be disappointed. You go, see, this always happens to me. Great people show up and I can't pull the trigger. You can, but you don't. And as you begin to let go of why you do what you do, then you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape those feelings. And so when you're able to do that, now you are you and you are free. And that freedom that you've just created, once again, it's allow space, and that is called these two words. I'll spell them for you. They are called self-esteem. Self-esteem. They are called self-esteem. Self-esteem, defined, is regard for self without feeling guilty, without feeling any anxiety. It means your regard for self is you're lovable, you're capable, you have the ability to transform self, you have the ability to recover. Now, anytime that you move into an energetic state above 350 cycles a second, so that means you moved into a higher level of love, and you move into 400 cycles a second and 500 cycles a second. A cycle a second is measured and calibrated energy of how emotions are transmuted. So when you're in a mixed message saying, please join me, but don't. I'd love to have you in my team, but I'm not sure if I can lead you. Please be my girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, but I'm not lovable. Please be my employee, but I can't pay you. I'd love to have you be my limo driver, but I can't afford one. When you are in this mixed message, you're telepathing these messages, either through the spoken word or through the transmuted energy. When you're doing that, that's a mixed message. So what you're really saying is, thank you for showing up to disappoint me. And that's what so many people do. See, I knew this would happen to me. I get tongue-tied. I trip over my words. I don't know who to be, what to say. That's what so many people be. That's what they do, rather than being the person that they are capable of. Now, for those of you who are watching this content today, so I know that this is reaching some of you, and for those of you this is reaching, this is physics. This is science. This is simple. This is not difficult, but if you continue to make situations difficult, then here's the word that will show up in your communication style frequently: HARD. Hard. That's what so many people do. They are hard-aholics. Now, like I said, for today's call, this is a great call that really breaks down for you the effects of esteem. And when you have low self-esteem, what you actually are doing is you're hiding from true self because you're anxious that you won't be able to measure up to the person you're capable of being. So that's what many people do. They put a tremendous amount of pressure that isn't real. That's called control on self to avoid being self they're capable of, because they're not sure if they can maintain self they're capable of, so they'll maintain self they know. And that no is an emotional addict. And if that is you, you'll relapse going up the down staircase of emotional addictions. Now, fear of rejection, I'll cover this really quick because I'm starting to wrap up. Fear of rejection is based on being rejected as a child. If you've been rejected as a child on the playground, in the household, upstairs between your brothers and sisters, you got picked last, you got held back a class, any multitude of situations, you got traumatized, 6 girls picked on you, 3 boys singled you out, any multitude of situations that reinforce you're not good enough, then your brain will hold on to a series of events and create a memory. That memory is also a filtered way that your brain keeps you safe. So if you have rejection issues and you enter into sales, branding, marketing business, and you're afraid that you're going to be rejected, then the solution is to avoid it. You avoid the outcome. And you avoid the outcome so you're not rejected. Then you'll tell yourself you don't like the word no, even though the word no seldom ever shows up in the English language. When someone tells you they can't afford it, they didn't tell you they don't like you, they told you they couldn't decide. Now, the more you can separate your feelings from the events, then you won't create anxiety about being rejected. That's an event that doesn't happen. So you can avoid being rejected, then you can reject yourself. So rejection goes full circle. It's a counterclockwise situation of overwhelmness that keeps you in a low vibrational energetic state called anxiety. And the reason you have anxiety is because you're not sure you can control the outcome. You're upstairs anxious about going downstairs, knowing you're going to get picked on, ask questions, go to school, make a mistake, get in trouble. And so that's what prospecting represents for a lot of people: making mistakes, getting in trouble, saying the wrong thing, getting rejected, hearing the word no, any multitude of situations that are unresolved from past that you bring to the present to avoid the future. That is called anxiety. And as you begin to separate your feelings from the events, then you can raise your esteem, so you can feel better about self. That's what self-esteem is. It's regard for self. When you repeat relationships with people that are emotionally unavailable, so many people do this. They do this over and over and over. They go out and find someone who's unavailable to fulfill their low self-esteem, their rejection and abandonment issues. How do I get over this? It's not a get over situation. It's a let go of situation based on awareness. You understand why you do what you do and begin to practice the art of separation. Separation means I'm no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape feelings. And as you're able to separate self, you become one with rather than separate from. Changing your beliefs. I mean, this could be a whole book as I'm wrapping up the last couple of points. Changing your beliefs, changing your dialogue with self, and then becoming the new you. I mean, those are the last 3 key points of today's video. So the first thing you do when you change your belief, you understand that beliefs are senses of certainty. I'm always overwhelmed. Well, actually you're not. You're overwhelmed in isolated incidents. That starts with word, the power of word. You speak differently to self as you begin to speak differently of others. My sense of certainty. If you knew 100% you would succeed. But because you don't have that belief, you have wavering belief rather than unwavering belief. The way you change a belief is you break down an event. You break down an event by collapsing it. By collapsing an event, it no longer has significance. And as you move into a higher level of esteem, then you change the significance of an event, meaning you change the meaning, and you change the meaning of how you feel about a situation, and you move into a power rather than force. So as you begin to change your dialogue with self, those are the words that you communicate with self. I'm lovable. I'm good enough. And in your communication style, you eliminate words like kinda, sorta, hope, like to, and specifically the word guess mid-sentence, and also watch how many times the words I don't know show up in content. Now, as you begin to, Jennifer Miller, good to see you. Scott Aguiar, oh my God, Scott Aguiar, and I go back to 2000. Scott, good to see you on this video. So a lot of great people watching here today. I highly endorse Scott Aguiar as a coach, by the way. So for those of you who are following this content, this is new content from my new book called The Esteem Factor. The very last point of today's content is becoming the new me, the new you, the new I. Well, become is today. I means I am coming, so today I am. So the new me, one of my clients sent me a message yesterday and said, there's a new sheriff in town. That's one of my terms that comes from the movie 48 Hours. Eddie Murphy walks into the bar and he goes, listen up, everybody. There's a new sheriff in town. His name's Hammond, Reggie Hammond. That's in the movie 48 Hours with Nick Nolte going back to 1982. So that I use that term as a new sheriff in town. That means there's a new you right here, right now. I'm sitting in Stockton, California at my desk, a 1930 Art Deco desk, and there's no new me right here because I am me and I am free. But for those of you who are not you and not free, then the new you is the person you decide to become and stay today. My name is Jeffery Combs. I am the president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Now, for the last 21 years, I have coached 12,000 clients, 60,000 hours one-on-one. Now, that is 6 times the 10,000-hour habit. I, on an average year, coach 2,600 hours a day, 2,600 hours a year. And so what I'm offering for you today, it's not something you purchase, not something you buy, it's not something you have to access, but I'm going to offer you a 20-minute coaching consultation with no fee and lots of value. So if you'd like to take advantage of a 20-minute coaching evaluation, go to Facebook and you can contact me in Messenger. So right there it is. There are the numbers. The numbers don't lie. That is 12,000 clients, 60,000 hours, and that is 2,600 hours a year for a free 20-minute coaching session. You go to Facebook Messenger or you can call me directly. That is 209 932-0227. Amy Brown, is that Amy Brown from Iowa? Ed Gerst, good to see you. I see a lot of great people here today. So 209-932-0227. Yes, I do give out my home office number. I'll be back here next Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Beautiful Los Angeles, California. Next Saturday with one of the most exceptional, courageous women I've ever had the privilege of collaborating with, Brittany Cara. Brittany will be a guest on my call very soon, as will Bridget Bartley. You have an outstanding afternoon, and you have a great day. Thank you for listening to the More Heart Than Talent Radio. If you enjoyed today's content and are committed to taking your skills to the next level, you can receive a copy of my Power Prospecting Starter Kit for just $7. This kit includes my Power Prospecting and Sorting for Pros audio training, my simple scripts for prospecting and connecting, and perfect voicemail infographic. These are the same tools I use and teach my clients to use to create momentum in their business. This process can be learned quickly, and I will walk you through the step-by-step process to become a power prospector and sorter. Do not make another prospecting call without this training kit. Today, you can receive my Power Prospecting Starter Kit for just $7. To receive this exceptional value, go to goldenmastermind.com/power.